Hello everybody, I am Sophie Priest. Some of you may know me as a presenter from Switch Radio. I've decided to step outside the studio and find out what is going on the streets of Birmingham. Today's topic is focusing on youth violence. I'm going to be talking to Birmingham Says No director Rachel Warren to find out what is going on with the youth of today. So let's go and find out what she has to say. So Rachel, thank you for coming today.
No problem.
We're going to talk about youth violence. So do you want to start off talking about your organisation, Birmingham Says No?
Yeah, absolutely. Birmingham Says No was established in October. A friend and I established it with there was actually a kind of nationwide call out. An operation in London that was called Operation Shutdown took place last summer, where they put sort of demands on Parliament requesting certain things to change in relation to knife crime and youth violence. Two of the ladies separated from that organisation and set up their own initiative called Croydon Says No. They put a shout out and said, like, was anyone interested in joining them in the fight against knife crime across the country? And we ended up with 45 different towns and cities all on board to put together an event at the same day, same time, with the same message across the country. That was our first event that we held on the 12th of October.
That was the protest rally, did you?
Yeah, that's
so
right.
to speak, the peaceful protest at town.
Yeah, so basically myself and another lady that sadly lost her son to knife crime a couple of years ago, we both kind of said, yeah, you know, we'd love to represent Birmingham. So between us, we organised this great event, brought in a like kind of team of friends and family around us, you know, to come and help us alongside that. So obviously Dee Kelly now, who I work with, she's like my co-director. The two of us were like from the start, and you know, so we put together, we decided initially it was supposed to be a march, and it was a march kind of, you know, to protest. But in all fairness, for me, I wasn't really sure of how effective that would be. I've seen so many marches, I'm not really sure about, you know, kind of the value of them, so to speak. For me, that's not my passion.
Putting a message across.
That's right, yeah. For me, I wanted to integrate and involve the young people. And by doing a march, I didn't envision many young people coming to join us on that.
Not in a peaceful way.
Exactly, I imagined it being like kind of just more adults, you know, and people that have been affected, which, you know, there's definitely a place for that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there isn't. But that for me wasn't, you know, in my heart, that wasn't my passion. I wanted something a little bit different. So we set up our first event in Victoria Square, I said 12th of October. We decided to have a staged event where we invited young people from across the city to come and join us, like dancers, singers, grime artists, comedians, you know, everybody, spoken word, poetry. But alongside that, we kind of incorporated people with, you know, a high level of lived experience. A good friend of mine who's actually Manchester based, Darryl Laycock, he's got personal lived experience and has been shot many times, has been involved in serious high level gang violence, and you know, he agreed to come and speak to the crowd, which was phenomenal. Another good friend, family, you know, consider them family because they really are, you know, they're amazing people, they do so much. Dale Sheridan as well, Augusta Stewart. I had a lot of people that were like ready to support the movement, which was fabulous. And they came and they spoke and shared their experiences, trying to like just tell the young people, really, look, you know, this isn't the life. It's not the life. You know, it's all well and good watching the Insta fame, you know they're throwing out the money listening and etc, listening to the drill music and thinking it's all really cool, but that's not the reality.
Do you think that a lot of the MCs, because I always say drill music, and I think a lot of young people listen to these MCs and they're talking about, you know, I've got all this money, I've got this. Do you think the platform that they've got, they could maybe use it a lot more efficiently?
Without a doubt. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, I don't fit the stereotypes, believe me, I don't, but I actually love grime music and I love drill beats. I don't necessarily say I love drill music because I don't like the message it promotes, but I do love drill beats. I do see that there is a place for it. And I mean, I remember watching a kind of documentary Crept Conan did, and Crept was talking about, you know, if you take that away from young people, then what are they left with? Because drill music is about their life.
It is,
for
of course,
some of them, don't get me wrong, not all of them are like active on that high level, that they're rapping and chatting about. You know, half of them haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
But some of them, that is their life.
Well,
That's their lived reality.
He'd done his story about where his stepdad got shot.
Exactly. That's where
songs.
his came from. It's his lived experience. Do you know what I mean? It's his lived experience, and that's where their passion for music comes from. And a lot of our young people that are, you know, in the city and across the country use music as a release.
Yeah.
Many people say that, you know, boys don't talk, men don't talk. Have you ever listened to drill music? Have you ever listened to grime music? Because you believe me, I'll tell you, they will tell you everything you need to know if you're listening. But people don't listen.
So what about with girls, so to speak? You know, that's the lads' outlet. Have you found many young girls have come to you and like that are involved actively in gang lifestyle?
Girls kind of tend to have a little bit of a different role, really, in terms of, like, you know, don't get me wrong, I mean, there's girls out there that are active in terms of the violent side of things, but equally girls also have many different roles within a gang circle or within a youth violence circle, you know, which are, again, more stereotypical. It could be like considered to be the honey trap, or you know, the girl that's the baby mother, or the, you know, the wifey, the one that holds things, the one that looks after things. You know, they kind of have a slightly different role.
And they maybe don't know that they're actually actively involved in gangs.
Absolutely. And in all fairness, I mean, you know, a good friend of mine who would be great for you to interview, actually, Ezekiel King, who I've worked with. He's, you know, served a lot of time in prison. He did a county lines presentation, because he was involved heavily in county lines, and spent, you know, a substantial length of time in prison as a result of that. He was actually like Coventry gang based, but Ezekiel made me think, even as a big woman growing up, you know, in Handsworth and living in Handsworth and seeing certain things and being involved in certain things, listening to him, I was like, wow. Never thought about that.
The story that
he was talking about the manipulation of women, and I was always like, wow, that wasn't me. I wasn't manipulated like that. But when he started laying it out, I was like, wow, I never looked at it like that, you know. I never thought of certain things. So sometimes coming from a man's perspective, how a woman might see it, how a man might see it, it's two different stories.
Of course.
And he's written a book, and in that book, you know, it's harsh, the way that he talks about how women are portrayed within that circle is actually very eye-opening. And you wouldn't know yourself, as you say, you know. No, even being involved as a woman in those circles, you wouldn't know that that's necessarily, do you know what I mean? And it's quite an ego thing for women, isn't it? Like, absolutely, of course it is, do you know what I mean? Being able to go into a place where people stand up at your presence because of who you're with, you know, that is a massive power boost. You just don't realise you are being manipulated. Exactly, for whatever reason, So do you find, going back to the events, they are effective? Because, you know, the youth violence is on the increase at the moment. Absolutely. So do you find they are effective? You are getting a lot of good response from the youth? Absolutely, definitely. I mean, I think it's because it's different. You know, there's some great organisations out there doing some great things across the city and across the country. You know, I speak to so many that are really working hard, doing brilliant things. But I think ours is a little bit different, because what we provide is a positive platform for youth to come and excel and to showcase themselves. Young people, you know, are kind of very narcissistic, if you like. Do you know what I mean? They like to show off. They like to say, look at me. You know, Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and all the rest of it has brought us into a society where people like to be liked. They like to feel wanted. They like to feel needed. They like to feel popular. So our events kind of give young people that opportunity to come and showcase, to come and show their skills. And there are so many talented young people out there. It's phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, I seen the dance show, as we'll show a clip after. Amazing. And the amount of people that was in that hall, I mean, it just gives me goosebumps in there. I thought, wow, as if you should be very, very proud. And the amount of people, the amount of young people, and you could see they was all just wanted to show off. And everyone was just having a great time. That was the crazy part about it. And I think that's why it's also so effective. The last two events we've done at the Lighthouse Centre, obviously, you know, and Jadil, that's the manager there, you know, he's fabulous. He's accommodated us, give us the opportunity to use the full kind of space there. I mean, there's a music studio, there's a dance studio, there's a sports hall, there's the open, there's like pool tables, there's computer rooms, everything you could want within a youth environment. And he's given us free reign of that to work alongside us and say, you know, bring people in, let's do it. So we've had two fabulous events, and each time the crowds are getting bigger and bigger. I mean, the last event, you know, we kind of had estimated numbers of about 600 to 700 young people in that space, and it was phenomenal. There was no trouble at all. You know, normally it'd be stereotyped to put a lot of young people in one sort of contained environment. It's going to kick off. It was beautiful, and so many people after said to me, I was so kind of like you just said, that goosebump feeling. I was looking around, watching the young people smile, just having fun. Young people can't do that now. They're not given that opportunity to do that.
So do you think if there was more places like the Lighthouse around, it would decrease the youth violence?
Potentially, yes, but they have to be manned properly. I mean, all of our events, we have security. And that's not because, you know, we're trying to impose authority over anybody. We want people to feel safe in our environment. So our events, we have security.
Metal detectors and stuff
have
as well,
metal
don't they?
detectors, they have wands on the door. But what that gives the people when they're inside is freedom. Those young people coming to that establishment knowing they are safe. No matter who they see, because there's people in there, you know, there's young people from the city, from certain areas, of course. And they come in and you know a little bit about who's who in the areas, etc. But they come in and they come in with manners and respect, and they just enjoy their peaceful time in there.
And that's what you want to do, give them a safe space where they can express themselves. And I think
the young people knowing that everyone has been searched puts you at ease. I mean, you wouldn't want to be in an environment if you know that everyone's just rocked in off the street, especially in this day and age.
It's defeating the whole point of what your events for and what your events stand for.
Whereas, you know, having that added security, the young people can come in and feel free to know they can just come in, they can enjoy themselves, they can laugh, they can chat, you know, they can build friendships, they can network amongst each other.
And it inspires them, so to speak, I guess, when they leave there thinking, I actually want to do something now, I want to go and join a dance
group.
Some
of the feedback has been amazing.
Or even left there thinking, I want to do something, I want to go
be a dancer.
I want to be a dancer.
Let's do it, so let's go to street dancers.
I was thinking, I want to get up there.
Honestly, I mean, the street dancers we had there. I mean, one of like BDK, Tyrese. I'm not sure if you recognise him. With standout, he always wears his like fisherman's hat. He's amazing. He's amazing. That's right. That's right. He's a lovely young man. He went to school with my daughter, so I know him well. You know, he's been to my house and stuff like long years ago, and now we've kind of re-met through the dancing. He's an amazing young man, and that whole team, BDK, they're fabulous. They are amazing dancers. But the events become so popular. The other group that came actually came all the way from London.
Oh wow!
They're called the New Cypher Generation group, and they came all the way from London to come and dance and join us to do a dance cypher.
Wow!
Because those spaces are just not available.
They're not.
We had obviously Martian dance group, we had Steps 8 dance crew, and we had loads of like, you know, just young individual people that felt safe enough and confident enough to get up there in front of all those hundreds of young people and do their thing.
And it's giving them confidence as well when you're doing that. So your next event is called the Peace Party.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
So the event on the 21st of March, we're working actually in collaboration with Rico Fogarty that runs Voice Against Crime. Rico's done some amazing work across the city for a long time. He's been out there kind of, you know, working with young people and particularly families of those that have been directly affected by serious youth violence. So he's kind of put this event together and asked would we come alongside and collaborate with him to support the event. And you know, absolutely, anything in the city that's positive for young people, I'm all about.
And it's not the Lighthouse anymore, is it?
No, this one's going to be at Zara's on Broad Street. And the reason Rico's done that is because he kind of, as I say, works probably a little bit deeper in the circles, and he's very aware of some of the, you know, very serious situations that are actually, you know, taking place within the city. And, you know, certain areas young people can't go and won't go. And that, you know, includes South Birmingham, North Birmingham, all over the city really. So obviously we've made it neutral, and in the summer that is something we want to look at again as well. He's doing another, you know, possibly another event, you know, sort of city centred again.
Is it Lizelle?
It's classed as Aston. It's classed as Aston.
As you say, there's some people from other postcodes that may not want to travel there.
The Lighthouse is situated right on the postcode barrier because you've got B21, which is Handsworth, you've got B19, which is Newtown, you've got B6, which is Aston, you've got Lizelle, you've got Witton, you've got Perry Bar. So it's situated right on, you know, that Six Ways Island where there is all the different postcodes. And I said what amazed me is young people came from all over the city. I mean, I had young people that had contacted me. They'd come from Bartley Green, they'd come from Quinton, they'd come from Northfield.
There was a lot of young people there as well.
So many young people, and I was just blown away that they'd all embraced and forgot about all that, you know. And obviously, for some young people, that's easy to do. They don't have to particularly worry about postcodes and things. For other young people that are caught in those circles on a deeper level, you know, that's a very serious thing.
It is,
They are living a very serious life where, you know, they do have to be very careful.
Of course.
And that's sad that there's young people in our city that are fearful You know, for whatever reason, whether it's their choices, something they've done, you know, that to me is irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's just, I find it just saddening that there are young people out there that are fearful for
Of
whatever
course.
reason that is.
And speaking on that fear, a friend of mine once recently said, young people carry knives sometimes to protect themselves, not necessarily to go out and stab somebody. Do you think that is a true statement, or do you think it's...
I think it's true in the belief of the person carrying the knife.
Because if they're fearing for their lives, but I was like, you know, if you fear for your life, why would you carry a knife?
I mean, a young man who I've worked with quite recently, and he was stabbed, so he got a knife and went out and stabbed someone else. You know, in a retaliation.
It's like the abuse becomes the abuser,
exactly.
so to speak.
And now he carries a knife, and he carries that for protection. But what young people fail to realise, that, as I say, in their eyes, they're carrying it for protection, but they're actually leaving themselves at a much greater risk of being hurt.
Yeah.
Because 51% of people attacked with a knife are attacked with their own knife.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean? It's a high percentage.
Yeah.
And equally as well, once you pick up a knife and you take that knife out with you, you are no longer a victim. You become a perpetrator because you're committing an offence. You're carrying an illegal weapon. You're carrying an offensive weapon. So you're no longer a victim. You equally, in the eyes of the law, become a perpetrator, just like the person that attacked you or stabbed you.
Of course, yeah, and each no two wrongs don't make a right.
Exactly. Sadly, you know, that's the way of the law. That's the way it is. I'm not saying I agree with that. I don't agree with that, but that's the way it is. That's a fact.
It's like the streets have their own laws, don't
Well,
they?
exactly. And if you take up a knife and carry it out of the house with you, obviously you have the intention of using that knife if you need to.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're not a victim
Same with
anymore.
a gun. If you've got a gun, more if you've got a gun.
That's what I mean. You're not going to carry a knife unless you have an intention of using it. So therefore, you're no longer a victim. You're a perpetrator.
Do you think it can be stopped? Do you think like the increase in knife crime? I mean, I can't believe how much it's blew up. I really can't. Like, it's every day you're seeing a young person, like people as young as 15, carrying knives and stabbing people. Do you think that at any point it can even be limited?
15 is old.
No.
It's old. I mean, we've been contacted by a school in the local area of the city, you know, that has had a 9-year-old bring a knife into school. A 9-year-old bringing a knife into school.
Wow, my niece is 11, I couldn't imagine her.
That's what I mean, exactly. And that is the reality we're facing now. And the problem is, well, there's too many problems.
Yeah,
you know, we could sit here till next week discussing the problems. You know, we could start right at the top with the government.
Yeah.
I don't personally think the government are active at all in trying to combat knife crime.
Well, they're not. You know, look how much funding they've took away from the closed youth centres.
It's all contradictory in terms. They took everything away, and now they're drip feeding it back and trying to make out like they're doing us a favour. You know what I mean? Oh, we've taken X amount of police off the street. Now we're putting them back. Police are not the answer.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Because, you know, I've got respect for the law. Always have had respect for the law. You know, there are some amazing officers out there doing a good job, but equally there's some officers that are not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's a fact.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
that's a fact in every organisation. People do well, people don't. Some people don't have that emotional intelligence that's necessary to deal with certain characters.
Of course.
And, you know, that's just the way it is.
And even with Stop and Search, like, I think it's very racially profiled. It was in the Lammy review before saying that it's like 8 out of like 10 young people that are stop and searched are black people. They are, you know, they are black youths that are stop and searched. And police aren't doing the job because everybody can carry a knife. It can be, you know, a female, a 20-year-old female.
Well,
you know, and they're not doing the job in that sense.
Since being involved in this, I'll be honest, you know, my eyes have opened wide open to the areas of the city and outside the city that are most affected. And you see, it used to be, and it still is, the stereotype still lies on Handsworth, Aston, Newtown,
well,
Lazarus.
Shirley and
No. You take yourself to Bartley Green, to Quinton, to King's Heath, to Northfield, to Rubery, to Franklin. You'll see a whole different side of it.
Yeah, I mean,
do you know what I mean?
Itself,
this is what I mean. But you see, those areas might not be predominantly black. They're not. They're predominantly white. But yet nobody seems to consider them as being, you know, fueled with youth violence or youths carrying knives.
It's sort of racially profiled.
It is racially profiled,
I don't understand why.
which is our area of the city. I've lived in Handsworth for like over 25 years. I love Handsworth. I can put my hand on my heart and say I do love Handsworth. Yeah. I've lived there for a long time. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's areas of the city, but equally that wouldn't mean I say, oh, I don't like Aston, because I've got so many friends in Aston. Yeah. I just love my part of the city. That's where I'm from. You know, I've always had the freedom. Luckily, you know, I've never been involved in those circles to not have that freedom to move around those areas of the city. Yeah. I love that part of the city. You know, I think there's some phenomenal young people there. I hate the way it's stereotyped. in the newspapers, something happens in South Birmingham, you don't hear about it.
No,
something
you don't,
happens in Sutton, Solihull, you don't hear
and
about
it's even
it.
the headlines, the way they sort of use the
But I'll
headlines.
tell you
as
what,
well.
now if it's Aston or Handsworth, it's all over the newspaper.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Because it's expected there.
And it's like a headline would be, for example, young black youth carries knife. But if it's
Yeah.
a white person, it'd just be
Young youth.
Young
Yeah.
youth carries knife. It's like
Yeah.
they have to always rein in on the colour, which I don't seem to get.
And I mean, I think as a whole, our young people, full stop, regardless of colour, regardless of gender, regardless of religion, are marginalised.
Yeah,
our young
definitely,
people
yeah.
are marginalised. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
But young black boys are even further marginalised, in my opinion.
Racially institutionalised. Institutional racism as well. You know, they go to schools, going to workplaces.
Yeah.
It's very rife.
Absolutely.
And like, going back to the police, do you think maybe if they stopped racially profiling and they just looked at everybody as equal, it may limit the youth violence?
I don't think it's possible.
You don't think?
I think it's a hypothetical question that you could never see as being a reality, because stereotypes are inbred. There's something that you grow up with from a child.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? More often than not, if you've got stereotypes about something, when you go way back, you'll find out that came back from way back with you. It's not something you picked up. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's come from your family. It's come from the media. It's come from music. It's come from the TV. It's come from, any kind of
subconscious
area. It's subconscious, absolutely subconscious. It really is. And I mean, there's been lots of studies about it. I attended a study done at the Birmingham University, and it was called the Black Doll Test, and it was run by part of a thesis piece of work. And they interviewed young black children and asked them, to choose a doll, black or white, which one do you think's pretty, which one do you think's ugly, which one do you think's naughty, which one would the teachers like, etc., etc. And it was saddening, the results, to see that low self-image, and I blame, so many different areas for that. But, you have to look at our system as a whole, at the stereotyping that takes place. And again, as I say, I just don't see how you could ever tackle that, because we're coming from such a long history of it.
And it goes
so where do you start?
Well,
but it still happens now. I mean, when you're in school, I'm a school teacher. You know what I mean? When do you learn about famous black people, or when do you learn about famous Asian people? When do you learn about, Eastern Asian, you don't. You learn about the Romans, you learn about the Vikings, the Anglo-Saxons, the Tudors. It's all modern.
They don't teach us about how Britain went and colonised countries.
No. They talk about Britain as the amazing empire, which, it was a powerful empire, but was it a powerful empire for the right reasons? No, it wasn't.
Because they looted everybody else,
exactly,
didn't they? They took everything away from everybody else.
But that's, just a whole different entire issue, It is a massive, massive issue. I'm not qualified to speak on it. I just can only go on my own experiences and what I see, and the young people that I work with and speak to, and what they tell me. And
do you have any success stories with young people that, as say, have come from a really bad upbringing, they've been involved in violence and they've actually turned their life around?
Loads and loads. I mean, most of the young people that I work with now come from that same environment, have been involved. I mean, we had an amazing young speaker at our last event, Daniel Barzi. He's kind of been in the news and things and stuff, and Daniel was very active, like gang involvement in the Ladywood area. He's been shot, he's been stabbed, he's stabbed, you know what I mean? He's been very, very active. And he's a young man, he's still a young man, 23, 24 years old. He's turned his life around and now has his own clothing company, and he's now out there, trying to teach young people. And, we were so thankful to have him at our event, and he stood there so open. People judge.
I remember his speech.
People judge, but he was happy to stand there and let those that wanted to judge, and those that wanted to listen.
Yeah, I remember, because the woman on the mic was like, he's speaking.
Can
everybody please be quiet? Because you could see he was very shy.
He was nervous. It's the first time he's ever done a big speech like that. And obviously I've been speaking to him for a few months and said to him, I'd love you to come and share your story. You've got so much lived experience to share. And to be honest, that's the thing about Birmingham Says No. Birmingham Says No is all about working with people with lived experience. I don't want to show you a pretty PowerPoint, that's been gathered from Google, because I don't see the relevance. But listening to someone like Daniel, who's been in prison, listening to someone like Daniel who's witnessed his best friends being shot and killed in front of him, he can tell you things that I can't tell you. And no PowerPoint certainly can't tell you.
If I was a young person and someone said that, I'd think about changing.
That's what I mean, exactly. So all of the people that we do work with are people of lived experience. and they come and they share their story openly, and I just, you know, so thankful to them that they can do that and that they're willing to do that, you know, and come and just share their stories with us.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I find that's quite saddening as well is older people are grooming younger children now, aren't they, as well, with 4 county lines. I mean, I worked in a semi-supported living for young people, and it was just rife, you know,
Really?
they're just being groomed, and they're going for people in care homes.
Oh yeah,
so it's
the
kind
vulnerable.
Of like, yeah,
the
so it's
vulnerable,
kind of
isn't
like we're trying to help
Yeah.
the youth, but there's adults out there that are grooming young people.
without a shadow of a
But
doubt, yeah.
It's a glamorous lifestyle to them, isn't it, so to speak? And
yeah.
how do you
well,
sort
it's
of,
sold as a glamorous
sold as a glamorous lifestyle.
It certainly
yeah.
isn't a glamorous lifestyle.
It's sold as one, yeah. So it's sort of
Yeah.
like how then would you tackle that if they're being groomed by young people and apparently older people, sorry. And there was a sign up saying what they'd do is they'd get them to cut the hands, like as an initiation process, and they'd say if you was to do anything, that's going to be your throat, basically. So it's kind of like, how would you be able to change a young person that he's got the fear of an older person threatening to kill him?
That's the
even if he
problem.
wants to change his
You know,
life.
it's a massive forum, and as I say, I'm far from an expert. It's so big, it's so vast. The problem is so vast. I mean, I worked with a young man that had been involved in county lines. He came from Solihull, young, white male, well educated, lived at home with mom, dad, family, everything, got a lovely car, had been treated like gold.
Had everything.
Everything you could want as a young person, was at college, doing his computer science, ready to go to university, etc. And he became involved with, a group from slightly outside of the area. For whatever reason, decided to get involved in that. I mean, his comment is money motivated. It was quick money that he was offered.
But if it comes from money, it's kind of like what? A lot of the time when people do
Because they've got nothing, exactly, and you can kind of understand that more. But I suppose, again, we live in a society where people are judged by how much materials things they have. Yeah. So he wanted more for whatever reason, got involved and found himself being stabbed and almost killed. He went out on a drug run. I don't know full details. The situation occurred. He was told to hand over his car. He didn't. So the person stabbed him twice and left him for dead.
Oh, wow. And he comes from, as you say, nuclear family and normal background.
Absolutely.
So
definitely. So again, that's where those stereotypes are so wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's, it's not just the stereotypes
when
we think of.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And you think, when you say to someone what's a gang, they automatically go to that stereotype.
Yeah,
they don't think of a young white lad that comes from a middle class family from Solihull.
Definitely.
You'd never think of that.
And I posted a story last week that a mother had shared, and her son had been involved in it as well. No kind of details as how he'd been involved or what his involvement was, but he had been, the situation had gone wrong, and he had been luckily rescued by the police. They'd threatened to kill him and were kind of discussing in front of him where they were going to bury him, etc., etc. And when the police actually got there and rescued him, and it was a rescue, his hands had been seriously burnt with sugar and boiling water, so he's scalded for life now. His left hand is so seriously disabled that he won't ever have the full use of that left hand again. So these are the pictures. It all seems pretty on the outside, this flashing the money and all that, but it's not a pretty picture.
And it's got to end somewhere. Look, you could start selling drugs from a young age and you can make loads of money and get older,
absolutely.
but then when you get 30 and you've got all that dirty money, you ain't going to be able to get a mortgage or
exactly.
It's dirty money, you can't do anything with it.
And the thing is, the truth of the reality is, I'm not here to judge anybody. Some people do it. Some people have made, a substantial living off it. They're living well from it. Well, that's their prerogative.
That's one in how many people that actually do.
But, is the reality like that for all young people that want to get involved in it? No, it isn't, sadly, because they start as foot soldiers, and foot soldiers are expected to do an awful lot of things in order to earn that money.
Just for a pair of trainers.
That's what I mean.
All the way to Scotland, just for a pair of trainers.
That's what I mean. So, it's a very, very scary situation for young people out there that are kind of involved in that.
And although there's many contributing factors, it's hard to say what the actual reason is behind it. But what would you say is it music, is it the government, is it family upbringing? I know it can be a contribution of many things, but it just seems to have gone so extreme now.
It does. It definitely has. The levels have risen so much.
I mean, we're not the third leading city.
That's,
for knife crime.
Absolutely. for me, one of the largest influences is social media.
Yeah.
I think that's what's changed so much in the last kind of, 5, 6, 10 years.
Yeah.
That for me is the most significant change in the generation.
I never thought of that. I think, music, family.
Yeah,
I've never actually think social media.
Yeah. Music comes through social media.
Yeah, of course.
Family breakdowns comes through social media. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of breakdowns take place now because of that access to so many other people.
Yeah. Relationships even.
There you go, exactly. So situations with young people become involved with very, very easily and very, very quickly. People are out there preying on those platforms, enticing young people with all kind of different, frills and fancies. As I said, we've got this narcissistic society that want to be out there showing themselves, so they're putting things out there all the time. And young people, as I say, a lot of them are very naive. They don't actually recognise half of the time what they're doing. I see so many pictures of like young people in their school uniforms throwing up hand signs, and I'm like,
there's one thing you think,
do you actually know what gang they're affiliated with? You're affiliated with the Crips, the American Age, do you know what I mean? You're not affiliated with the Bloods, unfortunately.
They don't even know.
They don't know. No,
it's like Snoop Dogg's kind
exactly.
of
Exactly. That's what I mean. And they're like, a lot of the young people, the younger kind of, sort of school age, are very naive to the reality of it. They're buying into the glamorization of it, and that glamorization comes through social media. What do they see on all these platforms? What's being shared on all these platforms?
Trainers,
exactly,
of course. I mean, you're looking
exactly.
at rappers now, like, your Mo Stack and people like that. They are on social media in the Balenciagas, and they just think, I want that.
Yeah,
but they've had to go through a long,
but that's the thing that they don't recognise you. People don't come on social media and say, oh wow, look at me, I've got these great trainers, but I had to do X, Y, and Z
no one
to
shows
get
the bad
it.
side, do that.
Exactly, they show the glamorization side of it, and that's the thing. But obviously with social media as well, there's that ability to spread things so quickly. I can contact you, can contact him, can contact her.
And the thing's going viral as well.
Just like that, within seconds, we could spread something across the country within literally a few minutes. It's all over the place.
I've seen videos, you see young people videoing while their friends are getting battering
what
someone
I mean,
else.
exactly.
Then they don't realise once that goes viral, everybody's going mad. They're like, oh my god, that's wrong. And they actually realise then, wow, I'm not actually that good. I'm not actually that hard.
And that's another naivety as well. Absolutely, it frightens me for young people because what they don't realise as well is how that can be used against them in a court of law.
Yeah.
I mean, they are now using social media as a platform for prosecution.
They're like grassing on themselves, basically.
They are. They're dry snitching. That's what they're doing. They're dry snitching.
Yeah.
They are there showing off, saying, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that, Or even in their drill music, even in their, they're chatting out what they're doing and what they're carrying and what they've got. Listen,
it's a self-confession.
Exactly. You might as well just set yourself down in the police station, mate, and said all that, because that's what they're doing.
And they don't realise
And the thing is, all of this is now being, the courts have clicked onto this, obviously the police have clicked onto that, and it's actually being used to prosecute people.
Yeah, I've seen a few cases where the police have just pulled the video.
Yeah, they've used their own music video, and they're there, talking about, I've just done this with a man, I've just done that with a man, I've just done that to a man, I've just done this to so-and-so, and the next thing you know, they're stood up in court being prosecuted.
Haven't played out they've done?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I mean. And that's the thing, young people don't realise there's also that serious legal implication of guilty by association.
Yeah, joint enterprise, isn't it?
Exactly. If I'm sitting down with you and you're talking about you're going to do X, Y, Z to a person, I don't have to even be there. The fact that I heard you say it and I didn't act on that makes me guilty. It means I can actually get prosecuted.
You don't have to be doing bad, you can know bad's being done.
I can end up going to prison for the same time that you get. On the basis, let's say, you go out and murder somebody, but you told me you were going to do it and I did nothing about it. I can actually be sentenced to the same full length of time that you get.
And they don't even know that.
Don't even know that. So when they're like, in group chats and they're talking about, we'll do this, we'll do that, whatever high level, low level it is, that's all evidence. And anyone in that group listening to that is leaving themselves wide open to it. Do you know what I mean? So
do you think sometimes with a few young people they have to have that harsh lesson? It's a case of that's what make them, some of them change.
Yeah, definitely.
Going to prison and going and seeing what it's like in prison.
Some people do need a hard lesson. Some people need a hard lesson.
Because prison's not a nice place. It's even secure units and things like that.
Yeah,
they're not
absolutely.
nice places to be.
No, and I mean again that's something that's very much glamorised, and you see kind of clips that have been leaked out on Snapchat and Instagram, people that are in prison, and they're showing their styles like they're living life, like living their best life.
Yeah, free meals meals a
let's
day,
be honest,
free gym,
you know what I mean? At the end of the
tenner.
day, 22, 23 hours in a cell is not living your best
In a 4x4
life.
now, it's
You know,
not.
you
It's
and your
not.
mate, listening to your mate having to go to the toilet, and that's not living your best life, I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
And, you know, listening to people like Daniel, for example, listening to people like Ezekiel, listening to people like Daryl, like Augustus, like Dale, like so many others that we work with, talking about, well, actually, prison really is not like that.
John done a talk, didn't he, as well? And he's now created an app, hasn't he, called Inside Connections, which sort of helps family and young people.
That's right.
I mean, his story was really good. I went back and googled it after, and it was in the paper.
And
he was someone like that, because he's got a very strong presence, and you know,
very strong
he had like his pride trainers on, he had his like Louis Vuitton bag, and I think young people are looking like, all right, then,
it's very cool.
But then they might listen to him in that sense as well.
But he was actually, I think, arrested for one of the biggest drug busts ever in the UK in terms of county lines. And he served his sentence for being involved with that as well. But now he's out there educating other people.
And that's a grown man that's managed to change. And he's done it all his life. And
a lot of the people out there now working with the youngsters are grown people. That's what I think makes people like Daniel so special. Yeah. Because Daniel's not grown. He's a young man in his early 20s. I think he's 22, 23, 24. No, he's in his early 20s. And the fact that he's already turned his life around, but he started from such a young age, such a young, tender age, as a young child, out on the streets selling drugs. Do you know what I mean? Out on the street, being involved in violence. The fact that he's turned his life around, I think, is just so refreshing to young people to say, well, actually, you can do that. Yeah. And we try and use every avenue we can to give young people opportunities. I mean, with the help of organisations like the Lighthouse, BDK now, have free studio time anytime they want to go into a professional dance studio and dance to their heart's content.
These things aren't promoted, and that's what's really sad.
They don't pay for it. They go in anytime they want. They dance in there. They use that as a safe place where they can go out of the cold, out of the rain, off the city streets. So
I wouldn't even have known it was free. That's what I mean.
It's not free. It was something that Birmingham Says No organised for them. Yeah. So they came to us and we've worked with them. They've helped us. They've been to our competitions. They've supported. They've shared. So in return, we do what we can to help young people back.
And it was the whole day was just good vibes. Yeah. There was a DJ playing the food. That food was beautiful.
Yeah. DJ RJ's classic.
Yeah. And then I was just sat there, I was on my own. Everyone kept coming up to me, going, "You all right? You look learning." I'm like, "No, I'm all right. I'm good." I just sat there, just bobbing along. So going forward, what do you hope to see for the future for Birmingham Says No and young people?
Obviously, just continuing to raise the profile, is kind of our main initiative. We've got so many things planned. We've got 3 projects coming up shortly. We're going to be working with the young bike life crew in the city. There's a lot of young bikers across the city, across the country. It's a massive, massive movement that promote Knives Down, Bikes Up. And they get together and they go on their ride out. It's again another group that's massively stereotyped as hooligans, troublemakers, etc. Don't get me wrong, there's lovable rogues amongst them. There's lovable rogues amongst the best of us. Do you know what I mean? I've never been no angel. I'm not going to claim I have.
I was having a chat with Nathaniel actually. I was having a coffee with him and we was talking about bike life. And this woman just stopped and she's like, I didn't mean to ever be rude and listen in. She was saying, but her nephew died of cancer, and she said that bike life raised so much money. I think they got was it AJ Tracy?
Yeah,
they got AJ Tracy to come down.
Wow.
They got signed things. It was really massive, and I was like, wow. And she was crying as she told me, and she's like, I'm sick of them being stereotyped. Yeah. She's like, okay, they can ride in the roads and they can annoy people, but what else do you expect them to do?
Well, this is what I mean. What do you expect young boys to do on a Saturday afternoon when they've got nowhere to go? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? What do you want them to do? They want to ride their bikes. Where are you giving them to ride their bikes? Nowhere. Okay, then we'll ride on the road.
And it's kind of the rebellious, I've got the rebellious streak, and if you tell me not to do something, I'm going to want to go and do it.
It's exactly a rebellion. But the motto of those young people is Knives Down. So for me, you know what, the fact that you're riding in the road, I can work with that. The fact that occasionally, you might swear at someone because they're, being rude to you, I can work with that. That's
fine. Put the bikes down and put the knives up, people would start
going mad. Can you imagine these hundreds of thousands of young people across the country that actually turn to their bikes, carrying knives instead? Do you know what I mean? Is that what people want? Would you rather them be out carrying a knife and robbing people's handbags
and mobile phone?
No, they can't win. And again, it's a problem with our young boys and our young girls, but our young people being marginalised. They are marginalised in society in so many different ways.
Stereotyped just as being naughty young people.
And I mean, some of the bike life people that we've worked with are just phenomenal. Some of the young people. I mean, one of them lives in Codsall, just outside Wolverhampton. He was robbed at gunpoint a few weeks back.
He had his bike robbed.
He had his bike stolen.
At gunpoint?
At gunpoint.
For a bike?
And we set up a GoFundMe and just so happy. We've been waiting for collective bikes to get the C Pro 100 back in stock. £800.
Sick,
So
wow.
we've just purchased his new C.I.C 100, £845. So we're like absolutely buzzing. He's absolutely buzzing.
And that's not even necessarily Birmingham Says No, that's just you as a person, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's just chose to go out there and just help somebody
yeah,
out being
definitely.
person.
I just like, the reason is I've been working with that young boy for like a number of months,
Yeah.
and we've just been liaising, and he shared things with me, and he's told me that he's had it difficult himself. He hasn't been in full-time education from the age of 11. Do you know what I mean? He's got found behaviour difficult in school and etc. But on the whole, he's a lovely
He just
young
needs somebody,
man.
yeah.
And when that happened to him, I just felt heartbroken. So my heart instinct was just, see what we can do. Can we help him?
Like now he hasn't got the bike. He could just literally be like, what am I going to do now? I'm bored.
Yeah.
The devil makes work for idle hands, doesn't
Well,
it?
exactly.
So.
And this is the thing. I mean, I have to say, in terms of that GoFundMe, we had a donation of £200 from Billionaire Targets, who are an amazing, married couple that do young entrepreneur events and things and work with young entrepreneurs. They donated £200, but the other £400, so significantly, came from a very close friend of mine who lives down in London. Her son was murdered for his bike in Woolwich 2 years ago. He was 22 and he was stabbed to death, and for his bike. So when we put out the shout out, his dad contacted me and he was like, Rachel, I'd like to give you the other £400 that's outstanding. So I was like, wow, Cliff, are you sure? And he was like, in Leo's name, I want him to ride, and I want Leo to ride with him.
And how old is Leo?
22. So what we're doing now, as I was leading on to future projects, one of our projects is to promote safety for the young bikers. So we're just awaiting funding at the moment to be confirmed. Once we've filled in all the kind of paper documents, we're going to set up a safety project where up to 100, 110 young bikers from across the city, we'll be providing them with a free tracker, and we'll be providing them with smart water pens to label their bikes, with combination bike locks, and we're having some vinyl stickers with LLL on and Birmingham Says No, which is Long Live Leo. So Leo's spirit will ride out with all those young people and hopefully keep them safe and protected across the city.
And
when
there is
they're riding.
a lot of bikers, isn't there?
There's a lot.
And maybe you doing that, it's an incentive for, say, someone that is caught up in the lifestyle. Yeah. Maybe they might think, I'm just going to go and buy a bike. I might try it.
Might try it, exactly. And they do.
Life.
They have a great time. They really do have a great time. And another project we're setting up, we want to try and do some postcode integration. Yeah. So again, we've got funding for a project which will be a 3-day event. We want to kind of pick up young people from kind of the Bartley Green, Quinton side of the city, my own side of the city, sort of Handsworth, Aston area of the city, and then possibly Chelmsley Wood, Smithwood, Bromford Estate, etc. Yeah. We have 3 groups of young people, and we want to take them out on a 3-day adventure thing. So we're going to go for a day where we'll go hiking or walking out somewhere, and Dale, who I mentioned earlier, actually does that, and he's a youth mentor, so he'll come with us. He's phenomenal. He's breathtaking. That guy, he's been in almost every single prison in the whole of the UK, and that was actually his goal. That was his life goal. That was his goal, and he has. You name it. And he said, I actually lay there on my bed one day, Rachel. He was like, I've made it, man. I've made it. I've done what I set out to do. He's phenomenal. He's a great guy,
And now he does what? He does hikes and takes young people.
Yeah, he does. And he does a lot of youth work, and that in Manchester, he's amazing. Him and Darryl do a lot together. He's phenomenal. So hopefully we'll be working with him to take out some young people. We'll go out hiking as one part of the trip. Yeah. The second part, then we want to go somewhere possibly the Bear Grylls Adventure Centre at the NEC, and do some kind of team building, escape room activities, kind of high ropes, etc., rock climbing. Then the third part will be kind of a conclusion day with bowling and pizza, and just getting those young people together to realise actually it doesn't really matter where you live. Yeah. Half of you are repping a house you don't own anyway. Do you know what I mean? Half of us are. Yeah. Let's be honest. Do you know what I mean?
It's a council house.
Exactly. Or the landlord owns it. I'm not repping some landlord's house. You know what I mean? It's about just bringing young people together and just showing them actually it doesn't really matter where you come from. The fact is, you're all young people. You're all in the same situation here. Yeah. You're all marginalised. You're all stereotyped. Yeah. Instead of fighting each other, come together. Because trust me, that will be one powerful
and
force.
And there's more of us than there is of them,
one
so to speak.
Powerful force. If young people stop the nonsense just for a minute and realise how much power they have within themselves as a collective. There's no government on this earth that wouldn't have to stop and listen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what was amazing with what Stormzy was trying to rattle up before the elections.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying Jeremy Corbyn was the right person to do it with, but obviously, you know, the best of a bad bunch, if you know what I mean. Pick who you can. Yeah. But what Stormzy was doing was amazing. Trying to motivate those young people and bring them all together and say, come on, you know, together we can do it. And I think with more time, you know, and more kind of education, realising young people, you should vote and why you should vote, he would have been successful as well. Yeah. And it's a shame he wasn't. Well, I think we've been looking at a different agenda now.
A lot more young people voted because
they did.
Just because of Stormzy,
because what he set out to do, you know, some of the supporters he had, obviously, it was phenomenal, it was amazing. So it's really good. Yes, that's another event. And then the third one we're running, which will hopefully be before the end of April, is a Young Entrepreneurs event. So we're going to set up, you know, kind of a nice prestigious venue. So we've got this funding, so we're going to spend it. We have a nice prestigious venue somewhere, invite young people from all over the West Midlands area, not necessarily just Birmingham, that have young businesses, that are starting up in business, that already have established business, to come, set up on the day, sell their goods, promote their, you know, what they're doing. And we'll then be inviting established, you know, businesses and business owners again from across the West Midlands to come and join us and come and see what our young people are doing, see what they're capable of doing, see what they can, to offer guidance, to offer, you know, promotion. And again, it'll be much like most of our events, you know, there's free food, we have a DJ, we make it a bit of fun, do you know what I mean? It's not a serious event, we have fun with it. So, you know, all that will be going on too. We're just inviting everyone to come along and, you know, see what our young people are about. Stop just looking at them down your nose and thinking, oh, the young, they know something.
Say, look, I'm very open-minded anyway, but even just being at that event, I was like, wow. Just wow. And how how polite they all were as well. Like, I crossed one on the stairs and she's like, oh, sorry. And I thought,
they are.
Just nice
the majority
people.
are. I mean, you know, there's 1 and 2 that are not, but even the 1 and 2 that are not, you have to take time to listen why. You know, I spoke to a beautiful young girl that night, and I won't share details because it's not my story to share. But I spoke to a beautiful young girl that I met that night, and just speaking to her in a situation, something had occurred outside, but speaking to her broke my heart, because the other thing we're dealing with is a generation that's consumed by trauma. So many of our young people have either been at the receiving end of a knife or serious violence, or are active on the other side of it, which is equally traumatic.
Of course.
You know, stabbing someone's no easy thing to do.
No.
You know, and also we are also growing up in a society consumed with secondary trauma. You can go on Facebook now, you could pull up anything you want, someone killing someone stabbing someone, you know, do you know what I mean? Of course it's traumatising. I've seen, you know, 1,000,001 videos where young people have been seriously hurt. And that's traumatic. That is traumatic. It's distressing.
Dealing with that trauma, I didn't have it easy growing up, and I think all I wanted was just somebody just to ask me why, someone to listen to me. Everyone just assumed I was just a naughty little kid. I was in a behavioural school.
There you go.
And all it took, it's one person that I remember, my teacher. They just sat me down and was like,
"What's wrong?"
I was just angry at the world because no one would actually sit down and ask me,
"That's right.
Why are you like that? Why are you in a behavioural school?" And once you find that one person, I think you're that one person for a lot of people.
No, that's give me shivers.
Once you find that one person that does care and does want to know, that all of a sudden then I wanted to change my life. I wanted to do something well, and it just took that one person.
Sure, and that's the thing. I mean, for me, as I said, I'm a school teacher. Do you know what I mean? I've worked in the city for a number of years, and you know, the relationship I have with the children that come into my class is phenomenal. And you know, some of the more challenging children, you know, I find those often with the biggest mouth. Those are the ones that play up the most, are the ones with the lowest self-esteem and the least confidence of the bunch.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, at the event, it was so beautiful at the event, you know, the other week, because 6 of my previous pupils contacted me like, "Miss, can I come to the event?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course you can come to the event." And I actually went and picked up 4 of them, bought them, you know, and took them home too. Do you know what I mean? Because
that would have made a massive difference then.
Oh, well, it has made a massive difference. I mean, you know, and one of them came to the first event as well, and Dale and Darryl pulled him up on the stage, God love him. And I mean, you know, he's vulnerable. He's a young black boy. He lives in, you know, the heart of Handsworth. He's schooled in the heart of Handsworth. He's very easily influenced. He's a very strong, loud character that draws a lot of attention. He's very, very, very vulnerable. So
it masks it, don't it? I suppose that loudness. It just
absolutely,
you don't want people to see it.
Absolutely. So kind of keeping him close, just that one person. Do you know what I mean? Just working with that one person. it makes it all worthwhile.
Of course.
And the same as I say, that beautiful young girl that I met, I will be working with in the future, most definitely. And she's got stories to share. She, the stuff that she can do that can actually be so positive and so enlightening for others, because again, she has that lived experience.
And if
trauma.
you can change one person, they can change the world. That one person's going to be a future president.
Exactly. And both of those, just off the top of my head, those two, I mean, there's literally thousands I could call, but those two are both so powerful that they could change the world, and neither one of them recognises it.
But once you
do you know what I mean?
And let them see that in themselves, they want to.
Exactly.
So wrapping up, when's your next event? Where is it?
Well, obviously we're collaborating on the event on the 21st of March, the Peace Party, which is going to be at Zara's nightclub, 4 till 8, 21st, free. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite. The link's on the Birmingham Says No bio on Instagram. And then within the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks, we'll have these 3 events rolling out in terms of the Young Entrepreneurs event, the bike safety, and the postcode pulled together. So, yeah.
Wonderful, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. Thank you very much.